Marriage was supposed to be built on trust. That's what I believed, until doubt started whispering in my ear, growing louder with each passing day. Olivia, my wife of 10 years, had become a stranger in our own home. At first, I ignored the little signs. The extra time spent on her phone, the sudden shift in how she dressed, the way she avoided my touch. Love made me blind, but suspicion had a way of sharpening my vision. One evening, as she slipped into a form-fitting black dress, I leaned against the bedroom doorframe, arms crossed. "Big plans?" I asked casually. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Work dinner. Just a few coworkers." I nodded slowly, noting the perfume, one she never wore around me. The scent of jasmine and vanilla filled the room, intoxicating yet foreign. "Which coworkers?" I pressed. She hesitated for a fraction of a second. "You don't know them." I forced a smile. "Have fun." As she grabbed her purse and walked out the door, something inside me snapped. I couldn't keep pretending. I needed to know the truth. Slipping on my jacket, I followed her. Her car weaved through the city streets before stopping in front of an upscale hotel. My stomach twisted as she stepped out, her heels clicking against the pavement. Then, a man approached, a tall, broad-shouldered figure in a navy blue suit. They didn't just greet like coworkers. His hand rested on the small of her back as he whispered something in her ear, making her laugh in a way I hadn't seen in months. Bow rose in my throat. I pulled out my phone and snapped a picture. Proof. It wasn't enough to accuse her, not yet. But deep down, I already knew the answer. Turning away, I drove home in silence. By the time she returned hours later, I was seated on the couch, whiskey in hand. She walked in as if nothing had happened, tossing her purse on the table. "Hey," she greeted casually, unbothered. I clenched the glass tighter. "How was dinner?" She removed her earrings, not meeting my gaze. "Good. Just work talk." Lies. She dared to act like everything was fine. That was the moment I knew I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. I would make her regret it in the most unexpected way. I woke up the next morning with my mind set on one thing. If Olivia wanted to pretend nothing was wrong, I'd let her. But not for long. Over the next few days, I observed every move she made. Her phone, once left carelessly on the counter, was now glued to her hand. She stepped into the other room to take calls, her voice hushed but her laughter unmistakable. She even changed her passcode, a silent admission of guilt. Every time she said she had to work late, I knew exactly where she was. I had followed her twice more, each time watching her slip into the same hotel with the same man. Eric Lawson. A name I had only heard in passing before, but now it was burned into my mind. It wasn't just a fling. There was something calculated about the way she moved, the way she came home and kissed me like she hadn't spent hours in another man's bed. She was too comfortable in her deception. That's when I decided to turn the tables. I crafted a note, one that would send a shiver down her spine. Lies weave a fragile web, unraveling beneath truth's weight. Secrets may dance in the dark, but dawn always comes. Meet me tonight, our usual place. Let's talk before everything changes. The words were vague but sharp. A message that could easily be mistaken for one from Eric. I slipped the note into her purse while she showered, then sat back and waited. That evening, I watched from the corner of the living room as she pulled the note out, her fingers tightening around the paper. Her eyes darted across the words, her lips parting slightly. She exhaled shakily, then grabbed her phone and dialed. "Hey," she murmured. "Did you leave me something?" I knew what the answer would be. I had already checked Eric's schedule. He was out of town for a business trip. Her expression shifted to confusion, then concern. I pretended to be absorbed in my laptop, feigning indifference as she rushed upstairs to change into something more presentable. "Going out?" I asked, barely glancing up. She hesitated. "Yeah, just meeting a friend." I nodded slowly. "Be safe." She left in a hurry, and I followed at a distance. She drove to a small, intimate restaurant, one we used to frequent before our marriage started crumbling. The sight of her there, scanning the room for Eric, sent a pang of bitter amusement through me. She expected him. But it was me who walked through the doors. Her entire body went rigid when our eyes met. I took my time approaching her table, watching as she scrambled for an explanation. "Surprised?" I asked smoothly, taking the seat across from her. She forced a weak smile. What are you doing here?" I slid my phone across the table. On the screen were photos. Her and Eric outside the hotel, text logs, every lie she thought I hadn't noticed. Her face drained of color. You followed me?" I leaned back, sipping my whiskey. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" Her mouth opened, but no words came. "Olivia," I said softly, almost pitying her. "You played your part well. But the show's over." She blinked rapidly, tears forming. "It's not what you think." I tilted my head. "Then tell me, what exactly is it?" She fell silent. I stood, slipping a key onto the table. "Your bags are packed. I'd suggest finding a new place to stay." And with that, I walked away, leaving her sitting there, shattered and exposed. The silence in the house was deafening. Olivia hadn't come home after our confrontation at the restaurant, and honestly, I didn't expect her to. The locks had already been changed, her belongings neatly packed in suitcases by the front door. She had made her choice, now she had to live with it. That night, as I lay in bed alone, a strange feeling settled over me. It wasn't satisfaction, nor was it sadness. It was something colder, finality. By morning, a barrage of missed calls and unread messages sat on my phone. I scrolled through them, each more desperate than the last. "Olivia, please, just talk to me. Olivia, I swear it's not what it looks like. Olivia, I messed up. I know I did. But can't we fix this? Olivia, please don't shut me out like this." I deleted them all without responding. By the afternoon, she was standing outside our house, knocking insistently. I watched from the window, arms crossed. Her makeup was smudged, her usually pristine hair disheveled. She looked nothing like the woman who had walked out on me night after night, full of confidence and deceit. I opened the door but didn't step aside to let her in. "Let's talk," she pleaded. "Just give me 5 minutes." I leaned against the doorframe. "Go ahead." She took a shaky breath. I know I hurt you. I never meant for this to happen." I arched a brow. "You didn't mean to sneak around behind my back for months?" She flinched. I was lost. I felt. "Don't," I interrupted. "Don't stand here and try to justify what you did." She wrung her hands together, looking down. "I was stupid. I got caught up in something that didn't mean anything." "Didn't mean anything?" I let out a bitter chuckle. "You threw away our marriage for something that didn't mean anything?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I made a mistake." I exhaled slowly, studying her. The Olivia I had once loved stood before me, crumbling. But I wasn't the same man who had blindly trusted her. "I'm not interested in fixing this," I said firmly. "You didn't just betray me, you insulted me. You acted like I was too stupid to see what was right in front of me." Her breath hitched. "I still love you." I shook my head. "No, Olivia. You love the comfort I gave you. The security. You love the idea of me when it's convenient." She wiped at her tears. "Is this really it? This ended the moment you decided to lie to my face," I said. "I just took my time making sure you felt it." Her shoulders slumped in defeat. "I don't have anywhere to go." I met her gaze evenly. "That's not my problem anymore." For the first time, she looked at me not with love, not with regret, but with realization. The man she had taken for granted was gone. And she had no one to blame but herself. Olivia stood there, frozen in the doorway, her lips parted as if she wanted to say something, anything, to make me change my mind. But nothing she could say would undo what she had done. Her betrayal wasn't a mistake. A mistake was forgetting an anniversary or saying something hurtful in the heat of an argument. This was calculated. Repeated. deliberate. I stepped back, gripping the door. Goodbye, Olivia. I shut it in her face. For a moment I expected her to knock again, to cry, to beg. But there was only silence. Peeking through the window, I watched her linger on the porch, her fingers trembling as she pulled out her phone. A bitter smirk tugged at my lips. Let me guess, calling Eric? I walked away before I could hear whatever excuse she would come up with next. She wasn't my problem anymore. Moving on, my way. Over the next few weeks, I adjusted to life without her. At first, it was strange. Coming home to an empty house, sleeping alone, cooking for one. But soon, I realized something profound. I felt lighter. No more sleepless nights wondering where she was. No more forced conversations at the dinner table, pretending not to notice how distant she'd become. No more pretending, period. Then, one evening, as I scrolled through my phone, a message popped up from an unknown number. Olivia, can we talk? I didn't reply. A minute later, another message. Olivia, please. Just one conversation. Still I ignored it. But then, something unexpected happened. I got a message from Eric. Eric, you think you're clever, don't you? I blinked. Of all the things I expected, this wasn't one of them. Curious, I responded. Me? What do you mean? Eric, Olivia told me everything. How you set her up, how you ruined her life. I leaned back in my chair, smirking. Ruined her life? Me, she did that all by herself. He left me on read. The sweetest revenge. A few days later, I got another message from a mutual friend. Jason, bro, you're not gonna believe this. Eric dumped Olivia. She's couch surfing with a friend. I let out a low whistle. That was fast. She threw away everything for him, and he discarded her the moment she became inconvenient. Poetic. For a moment I wondered if she regretted it, if she lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, realizing how badly she had screwed up. But then I dismissed the thought. I didn't care. That chapter of my life was closed. As I stood on my balcony, sipping a cold beer, my phone buzzed again, this time from someone new. Emma, hey stranger. It's been a while. Want to catch up? A slow grin spread across my face. New beginnings were already on the horizon.